Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Sisi here or Wambo. Today is a great day and another day. Guys, today is a Sabbath day. It's a Sunday. It's a day of resting. And I want to say thank you everyone for tuning in, for your support. And I don't have much to say, but I'm grateful for everything. So today guys, I'll share with you the gospel in the book of Exodus 18. And before I do that, we shall be able to say a word of prayer. Kindly grab your Bible and let's us read together. And today's prayer, I'll be able to pray in the book of Psalm 131. Excuse me. And some Bible you can be able to find in the book of Psalm 130. Okay. Oh Yahweh, my heart is not proud, nor do I have arrogant eyes. I am not engrossed in ambitious matters, nor in things too great for me. I have quiet and stilled my soul, like a weaned child on its mother's lap. Like a contented child is my soul. Hope in Yahweh, O Israel, now and forever. Amen. So the prayer is a very strong prayer. It's also a song of serenity, and it's a prayer whereby you give yourself to the hands of God, and which is very powerful. So we'll be able to go to Exodus 18, and today is a bit longer. I hope you'll bear with me. Exodus 18 verse 1 to 27. Verse 1 to 27. Okay, let us read together. Jethro, the priest of Midian, father-in-law of Moses, heard all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, when Yahweh brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent away Zipporah, his wife, Jethro, his father-in-law, received her and her 2 sons. The first Moses had called Gershom to remember that he had been a guest in a foreign land. And the other Eleazar, for he said, "The God of my father came to my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh." So the name of the first child meant, or it was to remind Moses he was once a guest in a foreigner country. And the second son, he named him after remembering that God came to help him and delivered him from the sword of Pharaoh. So Jethro came with Moses' wife and sons to the desert where the people had encamped at the Mount of God. Excuse me. Moses was told, "Your father-in-law Jethro is here. He has come with your wife and her 2 sons." So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and bowing low before him, he kissed him. And when each had inquired about the other's health, they entered the tent. So they went inside the tent to talk more, getting to know about each and everyone's health. That's normally what every friends, when you meet with your friends, you are able to talk together and you are able to know how their family is doing, how is their health. It's very important to ask someone, "How is your health?" It's really very important. So we can be able to see Moses and the father-in-law relationship was good. Moses then told his father-in-law all that Yahweh had done to Pharaoh and Egypt for the sake of Israel, and all the difficulties they had met with on the way, and how Yahweh had saved him. Jethro rejoiced at all Yahweh's goodness to Israel in freeing them from the power of Egypt, and he said, "Blessed be Yahweh, who has delivered you from the power of Egypt and Pharaoh, and has rescued the people from the grip of Egypt. I know now that Yahweh is greater than all the gods, for he delivered his people when they were being oppressed. Then Jethro brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to offer to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to share this meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. We can be able to see here that Jethro was a priest, and he was a Midianite, and he was a priest. And according to the scripture, we can be able to hear that Jethro said, I the gods, no, I know now that Yahweh is greater than all the gods. So what does that mean? That means even before, these people were still worshiping other gods. So this moment, when Jethro held and they had a conversation with Moses, he came to acknowledge that Yahweh is the only one, and he was greater than their gods. The next day, Moses took his seat to administer justice for the people who stood around him from morning till night. His father-in-law, seeing all the work of Moses for the people, said to him, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit and judge while all the people stand around you from morning till night?" Why do you alone sit and judge people all day and night? Moses answered, "It is the people who come to me to know God's will. When there is a dispute, they bring it to me to decide between the two parties, and I teach them God's decrees and laws." So Moses was there as a prophet, not only to speak, but also to teach other people, to remind them about the laws of God, what they're supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. Jethro replied, "What you are doing is not good." Jethro replied, "What you're doing is not good. You and your people will wear yourself out, for the work is too heavy and you cannot do it alone." So these people were so many people, and they only came to Moses to give their dispute, and Moses will be able to give them or to judge between the two parties. He was the only one doing this, which it was a heavy burden to Moses alone. So now listen to the advice I am going to give you, and God be with you. So this was the advice from Jethro, father-in-law. You will be the people's representative before God and bring their cases to him. So Moses was to be representative. He was the one to bring the issues to God. You will teach them the statutes and laws and the way they must live and what they must do. So that was the duty for Moses, to teach them how they should live and the laws and the commandments of God. But choose among the people capable, God-fearing men, men of truth who hate a bribe, and appoint them as leaders for groups of 1,000 and 100 and 1,000, 150 and 10. So this was the advice from father-in-law. They will administer justice at all times, bringing to your attention only those cases of major importance, while they deal with all those of lesser importance. That will ease your burden, since they will be sharing it with you. if you do this, God will guide you and you will be able to cope with this duty. And all these people will reach their place in peace. Moses followed his father-in-law advice and did as he said. He chose capable men from among the Israelites and placed them as leaders for groups of 1,000, 150, and 10. They administered justice at all times, bringing difficult cases to Moses, but judging all other cases themselves. Then Moses left his father-in-law, returned to his own country. And that's come to the end of the scriptures. So what have we learned from the scriptures? Okay, we can be able to hear that. That is verse 18, chapter 18, verse 11. We can be able to hear that Moses received his father-in-law, and that showed respect. Even though he had sent Zipporah away with his 2 sons, he accepted them and he received them with great respect. As we can be able to hear that, so Moses went out and met his father-in-law, and bowing low before him, he kissed him. And when each had inquired about others' health, they entered the tent. So Moses kissing his father-in-law, that was a big respect and showing respect by them. I think that was their way of greeting elder people. You have to bow down and kiss their feet. That shows respect and humbling yourself in front of elders people. We can be able to see verse 11. I know now that Yahweh is greater than all the gods. This was the words from Jethro, father-in-law. And what have you gotten from this? What do you get from this message? For me, it's clear that the children of Israelites and also Egypt, they had so many gods, thousands and thousands of gods. There was God of sun, God of rain, God of moon, God of different things. And when Moses and Jethro, they were talking together, during their conversation, we can be able to see Jethro recognize or acknowledge Yahweh, that he was greater than any other gods. Who could be able to do that, what he did? He saved the children of Israel and he removed them from Egypt, from the hands of Pharaoh. He was a great God. Which other gods could not do that? That was so wonderful. And even made Jethro to do burnt offering and other sacrifices to offer to God. Then we can be able to see Moses was doing all duties by himself. So in that process of conversation between Moses and Jethro, father-in-law, Jethro could see that Moses is overworking himself. And so he had to give advice to Moses. So what does this show us? Or what are you learning from the scriptures? What I learned from the scriptures is most of the time we need to ask for help. If you feel you cannot be able to do things by yourself, it's okay to ask for help. And another thing, you cannot do everything alone. You need other people, you need other hands so that you can be able to meet the goals. And so this is what the advice from Jethro, father-in-law, that you cannot be able to do all this alone. Just select people among you and God-fearing people. Why did Jethro advise this? God-fearing people people who hate bribe. And these people, if they hate bribe, there will be no corruption. So that's why Jethro advised Moses, choose men who fear God and men who hate a bribe, which a bribe will make people to be corrupt. And that's what happened most of the time in our country, Kenya. I'm sorry to say that. Everybody wants bribe. And bribes make our country to be more corrupt. Remember, if you want to change our country, it starts from me and you. So if you don't say no, and someone else don't say no, it will keep happening. And we will never change our country. And that's why Kenya is really very, very corrupt. So Moses did as his father-in-law told him. And we can be able to see that he got also more blessing and his work was lessened. Because they could only come to Moses when they have major importance. And these other people, leaders, who are among the different groups, they could solve minor importance, which is very, very important also in our daily lives, that we cannot do everything. We need a hand of help here and there. And also, what we are learning from here is that it's good to ask help from elders, from people who fear God. They'll also give you good advice and they will bless you. And so Moses was blessed, and whatever he did, everything went well. So we can be able also to see that when Moses was speaking with Jethro, Jethro underlined the double mission of Moses. So the double mission of Moses, one was he is both the prophet and the people need to lead them, the judge with authority to solve the conflicts among people. He was a prophet and he was also a man to judge with authority and solve conflicts for people. So Moses had two responsibilities. He was a prophet and also to solve people conflicts. And also the Hebrew who left Egypt with Moses had to organize themselves. God did not dictate to them what they should do. Partly, they created the institution they needed. Partly, they adapted those of other peoples. In the present case, they followed the example of the Midianites, which Moses' father-in-law was a Midianite priest. So these people, Israelites, they had to follow what other people are doing. That is the foreigners. Moses, like other unquestioned leader, needs time to realize that everything will work out better if he shares his responsibilities with others. Fortunately, he has become accustomed to listen to God, and now it's the duty for Moses to listen to his relatives, to listen to other people. So it was very important that sharing responsibility, it will make your work easier. And so the scriptures today was all about Moses meeting with Jethro. Jethro was father-in-law. And we can be able to see Moses had a wife, Zipporah. He had sent away Zipporah with 2 sons. And he respected his father-in-law. And the scriptures is more about sharing responsibilities with others. You cannot do everything alone. Getting advice from elder people and people who fear God, so that they can also be able to bless you. And also, it talks about caring about one another. As we can see, when Moses and Jethro were speaking, or they were having conversation, they had to get to know each other's health, which is very good. And also, the scriptures also tell us that Yahweh is the only God. We have a living God and one God, that is Yahweh, no other God. And if you're there listening to me, I just want to remind you, Yahweh is the only God. We have no other God. As Jethro acknowledged that Yahweh is the only God, and he is greater than other gods, the gods they used to serve. So I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, and click the notification bell so that if I download any video, be among the first one to be notified. Comment down below. Your comments are most welcome, and share the video if it has touched your heart and if you have learned something from today. Be blessed and have a great day. See you in the next video. Bye.